Today's story is going to be incredibly interesting. Imagine a bar where, if you step outside, you're instantly shot dead. But if you stay inside, you're not safe either. It's a true case of being caught between a rock and a hard place. The story begins inside a bar, where we see a man named Sakin. Just as he enters, another man steps outside. The moment he does, a gunshot rings out, and he drops dead on the spot. Panic spreads as people scramble in fear. No one knows where the bullet came from, and within moments, the street outside is eerily deserted. Inside the bar, a large group of people is now trapped, clueless about what to do next. A man named Santur tries calling the police, but there's no network on his phone. Tension rises as another man bravely steps out to check on the dead body, only to be gunned down himself. Shocked and terrified, the people inside realize they are completely cut off. No phones are working, and there's no way to call for help. Amidst the chaos, a woman named Alina suggests checking the news on TV. But strangely, there's no mention of the incident anywhere. Then, as they look outside, they realize something even more unsettling. Both bodies have disappeared. Not just that, but every trace of blood has been wiped clean, as if nothing ever happened. Confusion and paranoia take over. Santur speculates that someone doesn't want anyone to leave the bar. Another man, Sergio, suggests that perhaps one of them is the target, a wanted criminal or a terrorist, whom the police are trying to eliminate. This theory instantly puts everyone on edge. A man named Nacho nervously hides his bag, but Sergio notices and exposes him. The group seizes Nacho's bag, opening it to find only clothes and a hard drive. Nacho insists there's nothing dangerous inside, explaining that he works in an ad agency and the hard drive contains his work files, but no one believes him. In a fit of suspicion, Alina smashes the hard drive to pieces, only to find nothing unusual inside. Nacho is deeply saddened by what just happened, but at that moment, he notices a briefcase lying on the counter. Curious, he asks whose it is. Sergio responds that it belongs to him. However, before Sergio can reach for it, the bar owner, Ampere, picks it up. Sergio warns Ampere not to open the briefcase, but before he can stop her, a man named Israel unlocks it. To everyone's surprise, the briefcase contains women's clothing. Before anyone can make sense of the situation, they suddenly hear strange noises coming from the bathroom. When they try to open the bathroom door, they realize it's locked from the inside. After several attempts, they finally manage to force it open. Inside, they find a large man lying unconscious on the floor. It turns out that at the beginning of the story, this man had gone to the washroom and never came out. Near him, they also spot a syringe. Alina picks it up, trying to figure out what it is. Just then, they hear the sound of vehicles outside. Rushing to the entrance, they see numerous army officers arriving. However, their faces are fully covered, making it impossible to recognize them. The officers begin piling up stacks of tires outside the bar and then set them on fire before leaving without a word. At first, the trapped people believe the army has come to rescue them, but when the soldiers leave without offering any help, confusion and fear take over. Soon after, a news broadcast appears on the TV, reporting that a major incident has occurred in the city, leading the authorities to seal off the area. No one is allowed in or out. The people inside the bar are left baffled. Why is the government lying? What exactly is happening outside? Just then, the unconscious man in the bathroom regains consciousness and stumbles into the main area. But something is terribly wrong. His entire body is grotesquely swollen, his eyes look horrifying, and within seconds, he collapses and dies. But before dying, he manages to whisper 2 words, "Don't touch me." Panicked, the others grab his phone and make a shocking discovery. He was actually a military officer. As they browse through his phone, they find several pictures showing people in protective hazmat suits, designed to keep them safe from some kind of deadly virus. That's when it finally clicks. The entire area has been quarantined, and this man died because he was infected. The realization sends a wave of horror through the trapped people. If he was infected, then what about the rest of them? Could there be more infected individuals among them? Just then, Nacho notices something terrifying. A man desperately tries to get a signal on his phone. He climbs onto a table and raises his phone in the air. To his relief, the signal bars appear. Excitedly, he informs everyone. Nacho is quickly told to call a media outlet and reveal everything. Just then, another man climbs onto the table, hoping to make a call as well. But the combined weight causes the table to break, sending them crashing down. A man named Andreas demands the phone from Nacho, but before he can take it, Ampere stops him. She warns everyone not to touch the phone because it belonged to the infected man. If anyone picks it up, they might also get infected. Sergio and Andreas agree with her. This means that anyone who touched the phone, or even the infected man, could now be carrying the virus. 5 people are suspected. Andreas pulls out his gun and orders them to take the dead body down to the basement storage room. Left with no choice, the 5 follow his orders and carry the corpse downstairs. Now, Only 3 people remain upstairs. The atmosphere is tense. Suddenly, a woman named Karina starts struggling to breathe. Panicking, she insists that they need to open the door leading to the tire pile outside, but no one listens to her. Desperate, she rushes towards the door to open it. In her hurry, she accidentally knocks over a few bottles. They crash to the ground, spilling their liquid across the floor. As everyone watches the liquid flow, they notice something, a drainage grate nearby. It suddenly hits them. They might be able to escape through the water drainage system. Without wasting any time, Israel pries open the grate. He decides to crawl through it to check if it leads outside. To prepare, he covers his entire body with oil, hoping to slide through more easily. But as he tries to squeeze in, he gets stuck. The opening is too narrow. Before anyone can help him, they suddenly hear gunshots echoing through the building. The sound sends shivers down their spines. Panic spreads as smoke starts filling the bar from above. Horrified, they realize that the 3 people who had stayed upstairs have been shot, and now someone has set the entire bar on fire. Meanwhile, Israel remains trapped in the drain, unable to move as chaos erupts around him. Israel finally manages to crawl out of the drain. A few hours later, the fire dies down completely. The group decides to head back upstairs. As they step into the bar, they are met with a devastating sight. The entire place has burned to ashes. Amidst the ruins, Nacho spots a gun and silently picks it up, hiding it away. Just then, they notice something alarming. Outside, a group of people is sealing off the bar completely. The group remains absolutely silent, realizing that if anyone outside discovers they are still alive, they will be killed on the spot. Suddenly, a phone starts ringing. The sound shatters the eerie silence. It's coming from the fat man's phone, the same man who had died from the infection just a while ago. Alina cautiously picks it up and begins reading his WhatsApp chats. One of the messages is from someone asking him, "Has your condition improved after taking the vaccine?" The man had replied, "No, I feel worse than ever. I'm hiding in a bar's washroom, don't come near me." Alina scrolls further and finds an older message where the man had mentioned, "I still have some doses of the vaccine." The group's eyes widen. That means the injection they found earlier wasn't just any ordinary one. It was the vaccine. A wave of hope rushes over them, but a disturbing question lingers in their minds. If he took the vaccine, then how did he still die? Before they can discuss further, the phone rings again. However, just as someone reaches for it, the battery dies, and the phone switches off. Now, they desperately try to find a way to charge it. Meanwhile, Alina reminds them that the man had mentioned having more vaccine doses nearby. They rush downstairs to the storeroom where his body was left, hoping to find the vaccine. But after searching, they find nothing. Determined, they head to the washroom instead. To their surprise, Israel is already sitting there, holding the remaining vaccine doses. He looks at them and says, "There are 5 of us, but only 4 doses. Someone will have to sacrifice themselves." Without hesitation, Israel takes one of the vaccines and injects himself. Seeing this, Nacho immediately pulls out his gun and points it at him, but Israel doesn't stop. He injects the vaccine into his body anyway. A struggle breaks out between Nacho and Israel. Israel, being stronger, overpowers Nacho and snatches his gun. During their fight, the remaining vaccine vials slip from Israel's hands and fall into the basement's drainage system. Panicking, the group rushes downstairs. Training reaches out and grabs one of the vials, but it slips through her fingers and falls into a pipe. The vaccine is now trapped inside. Now the group is left with only one thought: how will they retrieve it? Among them, Alina is the slimmest. Everyone turns to her. The group looks at Alina and asks, "Can you go inside and retrieve the vaccine?" At first, she refuses, but after some persuasion, she finally agrees. They coat her body with oil and push her through the small opening. With great difficulty, she manages to slip through and falls into the drain below. After searching for a while, Alina finally finds the vaccine and makes her way out of the water. Nacho then tells her to tie the vaccine to a wire so they can pull it up, but Alina refuses. She knows that only 3 people are left upstairs, and there are only 3 doses of the vaccine. She firmly tells them, "If you want the vaccine, you'll have to come down here." Realizing they have no choice, the others start widening the drainage opening to climb down. Meanwhile, Alina searches for an exit. After walking a bit, she sees a faint light in the distance. Before going any further, she hides the vaccine inside a nearby crevice. She then climbs up a ladder and peeks outside, only to find a massive police force stationed there, investigating the bodies of the 3 men who were burned inside the bar. The scene shifts, showing that all the remaining survivors have now somehow made their way down to the basement. Suddenly, a brutal fight breaks out between Israel and Nacho once again. In the struggle, Israel snatches the gun from Nacho and shoots him multiple times, killing him on the spot. Now, only a few people remain, and they are terrified of Nacho, who is now armed. Nacho points the gun at Alina and orders her to hand over the vaccine. He reminds them, there are only 3 doses. If we use them wisely, 3 of us can survive. With no other choice, Alina leads them to the spot where she had hidden the vaccine. They slowly move forward, Nacho and Alina leading the way, while the others follow closely behind. However, one of them, Training, suddenly tries to submerge the vaccine in water, intending to destroy it to end the fight. Nacho stops her just in time, but Training turns to him and says, "If you want to live, then shoot me. That way, you can split the vaccine among yourselves." Nacho hesitates for a moment, pointing the gun at her, but he can't bring himself to pull the trigger. Instead, Training walks away, and moments later, a gunshot echoes. She has taken her own life. Now, only 3 people remain, and they have exactly 3 doses. Each of them takes 1 injection, but before they can inject themselves, Israel suddenly appears. He's still alive. From behind a pillar, he attacks, brutally killing another survivor. Now enraged, Israel sets his sights on Nacho and Alina. They see a staircase ahead and run toward it. As they scramble up, the vaccine vial in Alina's hand slips and falls. Since Israel is right behind them, they can't go back to retrieve it. Thinking fast, Nacho hands his own injection to Alina. Just then, Israel grabs Nacho and violently pulls him down. With a final scream, Nacho is dragged into the darkness. Now, with the only remaining dose of the vaccine, Alina injects herself. She then pushes open the drainage cover and climbs out. As soon as she emerges, she sees a large crowd gathered outside. The government has completely sealed off the area. Just then, a woman drapes her jacket over Alina. She is completely disoriented and in shock. Without saying a word, she blends into the crowd and disappears. In the final moments of the story, we learn a shocking truth. The overweight man who had collapsed in the bar's washroom was actually an army officer. It is hinted that the military may have been working on a biological weapon, possibly to use against enemy nations. However, during their experiments, one of their own officers got infected. Although they had already developed a vaccine for the virus, it didn't work on this particular officer because his immune system was too weak. Once the army discovered that their infected officer was inside the bar, they sealed off the entire area to ensure that the virus didn't spread. Their plan was simple: let everyone inside perish so that the virus could be eradicated in one place. Even if it meant sacrificing innocent lives, they believed they were preventing a much greater catastrophe. To them, the lives of a few were a small price to pay for the safety of an entire nation. But what do you think? Was the army's decision justified, or was it completely inhumane? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next movie recap. Until then, take care and goodbye.